Right now, Meghan Markle, we talked about her yesterday, and I mentioned her. We mentioned her earlier. She's got this podcast, $25 million she get paid from Spotify to do this podcast. And so her first podcast was Serena Williams, where Meghan talked about what a victim she's been her whole life. She's a princess, but she's a victim. Second episode is with Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey, actually in a great moment, Spencer, kind of turned the tables on Meghan and called her a diva, which she is. Really? And let me bring it to you what happened, but I just feel like this is all hashtag part of the problem. Meghan Markle, hashtag part of the problem. Here's soundbite 1 in which Mariah turns the table.
And I think that's really important for people to remember that there might be this persona. And yes, the diva thing we can play into. I mean, it's not something that I connect to, but if for you, it's been a huge part of your
diva moments sometimes, Meghan.
What kind of diva moments do I give you?
Don't act like you. It's also the visual. It's the visual. A lot of it's the visual. Because
see, that's the thing. I associate it differently.
Well, I know, but let's pretend that you weren't so beautiful and didn't have the whole thing and didn't often have gorgeous ensembles. You wouldn't get as much diva stuff. I don't care. I'm like, when I can, I'm going to give you diva.
Okay. That was during the exchange, because Meghan's whole thing on this podcast to make it about herself. And then she comes back in her own closing remarks on her own podcast, Meghan Markle, having mused about the diva assertion, and says the following.
It was all going swimmingly. I mean, really well. Until that moment happened, which I don't know about you, but it stopped me in my tracks. When she called me a diva. You couldn't see me, obviously, but I started to sweat a little bit. I started squirming in my chair in this quiet revolt. Like, wait, what? No, what? Huh? But how could you? That's not true. Why would you say that? My mind genuinely was just spinning with what nonsense she must have read or clicked on to make her say that. I just kept thinking in that moment, was my girl crush coming to a quick demise? Does she actually not see me? So she must have felt my nervous laughter, and you all would have heard it too. And she jumped right in to make sure I was crystal clear. When she said diva, she was talking about the way that I dress, the posture, the clothing, the quote unquote fabulousness as she sees it.
Oh my God, Spencer. I'm gagging on the narcissism. Yesterday, she compared herself to Nelson Mandela. And now today, we have to deal with this. She can't understand why anybody would think she's a diva. I mean, let me count the ways. As, during the Queen's Jubilee, she's making sure to put the window down so everyone can get her photograph, right? As she's always got to be wearing Princess Diana's jewelry, as she's got to have just the right angle and photographer, and she'll only deal with this certain stenographer, press guy, Scobie, whatever his name is. She sues every magazine who writes something negative about her. She pulls the meanest comment about herself, tries to blow it up into what a victim she's been, because she's only used to the good things being said about her. I mean, the fact that she didn't want to live in the royal cottage and the Frogmore, it wasn't good enough for her. They had to redo it on the taxpayer dime. She didn't pay. All of it. I could keep going. And now to be like, the indignation.
You called me.
Thank God it was just about my appearance. Yeah, thank God. That I understand. Look at me.
This is the act of a person who would sit in Windsor Castle with Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, a woman who once broke bread with Winston Churchill, and complain about her mental health. I mean, it's like, it's not a day spa. It's one of the most ancient monarchies in Europe. Like, I mean, look, I will say this. When John Adams, when Abigail Adams died, and John Adams was survived her, and when people would compliment him on the success of his son, John Quincy, he reportedly had something that he would always say in response. People would say, "Oh, your son is so great. You must be so proud." And he would say, "My son had a mother." And when I first read that, I actually teared up a little bit. I mean, we've talked on this show about my dad and the close relationship that I have with him. And I like to joke, but it's not really a joke. Like my mom is the best Klavan. She's like Klavan Deluxe, and she's the only one of us who never does any media. So you all just have to take my word for it. But when I hear people talking about womanhood in these ways, or offering these, role models to young girls, telling them they have to be like Meghan Markle or like Lizzo, I always think, I too had a mother, and it incenses me on those terms, just to, my mom stayed home with us. She had a thriving career on either side of that. She was a successful writer before we were born. She continued to write a little bit, but basically stayed home. And then, when we were grown, she took up her career. And you talked very eloquently about the kind of, you can have it all mentality, this narrative that you can do it all at once. And I've seen that too. I think there's still a little bit of it going around. But the irony is, of course, that if you'll just let go of these, confected narratives, these absolutely artificial narratives that were not designed by people who have your best interests at heart, that were not cooked up so that you could thrive and flourish, but so that somebody else could make money off of you. Just let go of that. You actually can have an entire rich, full life as a woman who, raises children and has a career. That's a very real thing. It's just not in any way, it doesn't look anything like this confection that they're serving you. And that's why it, gets me, is to think about my own mother, whom I do rise up and call blessed, as in Proverbs, and to kind of, I feel sorrowful for the girls who are being offered this just really unhelpful image.
Everyone's starting to go back to school right now, right? This week, over the next couple of weeks. And as that happens, you have the chance to do some good by helping feed children who are facing hunger and food insecurity. Our partner, Good Ranchers, is on a mission to donate 100,000 high-quality meals to young children who often go unfed or who are malnourished from poor access to nutritious food. You can join this campaign by ordering a box of 100% American meat. Every order contributes meals to the cause and makes a huge difference in the lives of these kids. Good Ranchers is an award-winning food delivery service that brings 100% American meat and seafood right to your door. They source the best of American farms so that you can get the highest quality food possible and trust what you're feeding your family every time. Go to goodranchers.com/Megan to join the movement today. You will get $30 off your order, free shipping, and donate food to kids in need. Giving back never felt or tasted so good. Let's help them hit and pass their goal of 100,000 meals donated. Go to goodranchers.com/Megan or just use that code MEGYN at checkout. Change the future one meal at a time with Good Ranchers. goodranchers.com/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.